What's going on? Welcome to some good Canucks summer content here. The community went out and asked me, hey, why don't you grade some of the stuff that we've done so far in the offseason? So I thought, hey, this is a fun video to go do. Drop a like if you enjoy this type of content. If you're new here, welcome. Leave a sub if you like this as well. And if you're an OG, you already know what to do. You guys know what to do already, all right? So, all right, let's get this started. All right, first off, we had a bunch of small signings here. Ratu, Breezeball, Sasson, Baines. Figured I'd put them all together. We also had Jet Wu here, Tolopilo here. Honestly, it's hard to give this a grade. It's obviously all just good news, right? The only one that wasn't in here was maybe Sammy Blais, but the guy went, he got his money elsewhere in Montreal, I believe. Hey, shout outs to him. I'll give this a solid A. There's nothing wrong with these signings. Next up, we have Braden Coots. He signed. People after that Willander situation, it's nice to see that he signed nice and quick. Also, Medvedev, our second rounder, he also went and signed as well. So let's get to the Canucks stuff. All right, Forbert, 1-year contract. It was a couple million. Now, for Forbert, he's one of the best penalty killers in the league. And I think it's really important to mention that because this is something that we are actually going to be losing a little bit of with Joshua leaving, right? And with Teddy Bluger potentially being available in a trade, if we go out and trade him too, that's a bit of a loss as well. So we got to keep the penalty killing good. So the fact that Forbert stick around for a couple mil for 1 year, just a 1-year deal, I like this. I'm going to give it a solid B. Nothing wrong with that. Next up, we had Connor Garland. So this is a really interesting one. 6-year deal, $6 million. There was a lot of kind of hot takes on this, if it was good or bad. Personally, what I think, I like this deal. I don't think it's the greatest deal of all time or anything, but I think it's good enough. I think it's a solid enough deal. The AAV is only $6 million. The cap is going way up. That's kind of what these second, third line players are going to be going for in the next few years. He's a heart and soul guy. Quinn Hughes loves the guy. The Canucks fans love the guy. You know, for 6 years, he chose to stay in Vancouver. I personally really like this. So I'm going to also give this one a solid B. Next up, we have Thatcher Demco. Now, this is a really interesting one because he signed for 3 years at $8.5 million. Now, original reports had him going for a much longer length and a much smaller AAV. But for 3 years, they're basically saying, hey, we're going to give you a shot. We're going to give you a shot to stay healthy and turn into that elite goalie that we expect you to be. So, honestly, it's an interesting take. Now, the whole kind of counter all this is with the Sheeloss trade, which we're going to get into. Should we have traded Demco potentially and go use that extra cap space elsewhere and upgrade the roster in other ways? That can be a real big debate. A lot of people were saying that and thinking that. So because of that, there were some people saying this was not the right idea. Me personally, I think it makes sense. You couldn't walk him in next season. It's going to be a UFA after this year and not have a contract because if he plays well, he's going to cost more. And if he doesn't play well at all, you're going to lose him for nothing. It doesn't make sense. We would rather just trade him, right? So the fact that they signed 3 years, 8.5, a tad overpriced, I would say, should be around a 7.5 range. Again, not that crazy. It's okay. I'll give this a solid B- if I had to go out and give this a grade. Next up, Brock Besser. This was a huge surprise. Brock Besser, 7-year deal, $7.25 million. The fact that he chose us once again and he decided to stay after all the drama that happened with Brock Besser as well. The fact that he was basically everybody was saying he was gone. He was gone. He was leaving us. This was the end of Brock Besser as a Canuck. Everybody was saying their goodbyes, their thank you, hashtag thank you, Brock, including me. And I got to go and say, man, this shocked everybody, and it shocked me for sure. Now, does that make it a bad deal or a good deal? Well, honestly, 7.25, bit of a discount. Cap is going up. He chose Vancouver, big friends with Quinn Hughes. Sniper, can he keep his speed up? His skating's always been a little bit of an issue with him, and the consistency aspect of it. Can he have a big year without JT Miller? JT Miller was a huge part of Brock Besser. So, but the fact is, 7-year deal. He really committed, and with the cap going up, it's going to age a lot nicer than a lot of people might think. So for this deal, I think it's solid. Again, I would give it another B, but maybe even a B+ if you think about the fact that he was going to be gone. And after looking what this UFA Corp looks like, it was rough. The fact that we got him at 7.25, I think that's more than fair. So I'll give it a B, B plus in that range. Next up, Pierre-Olivier Joseph, 775. Just a depth guy. He was in the NHL quite a bit, and he's just a depth guy. So a C plus grade. Nothing really too crazy to talk about here. Next up, trades. We had Stillman and a 4th-round pick for Shilovs. Shilovs was a monster for us in the AHL. He's a fan favorite. We love the guy. We absolutely love the guy, right? But here's the problem with Shilovs. The guy can't stop a lot of the shots from the outside. Now, has he gotten better at that in the AHL? Yes, he's improved at that. But he still wasn't 100% sure. The problem is the guy's young. He's developing. Goalies sometimes take longer. I think personally Shilovs is going to be a really good goaltender in the NHL, not just the AHL. I believe in Shilovs. I think he has his demeanor right. I think he's a family guy. He's good in the locker room. He's just a nice guy, solid package, really skilled. He just needs to work on that. Those outside shots and make sure he can do that. And the fact Canucks, 4th-round pick, Stillman, a lot of people thought this was, there's a lot of outrage on this. Hey, man, I made like 2 or 3 videos saying that Shilovs was going to be getting traded for a 4th or a 5th-round pick. Goalies don't have value, especially goalies where everybody knows we're going to lose in the waivers for nothing. The fact that we got a 4th-rounder for him, I think it's perfectly fine. I don't have any problem with this. I'll give it a C+ / B, B-, somewhere in that range. I'll just say, you know what, B-, just because it went for exactly what I thought. But again, if you're a big Shilovs guy, you might rate this even a C or even a C- because you want a Demco to be traded. But I personally, this is kind of how I saw it coming. So here's a really interesting one. There's 2 ways of thinking about this. You can grade this either an F or you can grade it all the way up to an A if you really truly believe in him. The thing is, with Evander Kane, he comes with a lot of baggage, a ton of baggage. And if you're a Canucks fan, before this season, before we got him, not everybody, I would not say everybody, but a lot of people, they really dislike the guy. And the fact is, he's had injury concerns, coming off major injuries. Now, he was really good in the playoffs, minus that last final series with the Edmonton Oilers. But again, Evander Kane comes with a lot of risk. But the pros is obvious. He's tough, he's gritty, he can score, and most importantly, he's someone that his job is going to be to protect Elias Pettersson. If that first game happens and Pettersson gets rocked and Kane comes in there and fights the guy and beats the living out of him, Vancouver will probably be chanting his name. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. That's going to happen if he does it. He's basically our PD enforcer. He's our PD protector. And I think that's what the Canucks were thinking. Now, he's making a lot of money, but again, it's just for the year, right? If he has a big year, though, do we extend him? Well, then we're doubling down on him, right? And his injury history. That's tricky. Also, the baggage he comes with in the past, right? So there's a lot of ways to actually think about this. If you hate the guy, hate the player, hate everything, I think you're going to hate this. You can probably grade it an F. If you think he's going to be the greatest thing for the Canucks because he's a PD enforcer and all that, I think you can give it all the way up to an A. Me personally, I'm going to give it right down the middle. I don't know what he's going to be for the Vancouver Canucks, and I hope he has a really good season for Vancouver, protects PD and all that stuff. So I'm going to give this a C+. That's where I'm going to go with this. Next up, we have the Dakota Joshua trade, 4th-round draft pick. We basically turned out to be a cap dump. The Canucks were against the cap because of the whole signings that we've done, including bringing in Kane and signing Besser and all that, and Demco, choosing Demco over Shilovs. So we need a second-line center. This is just something we're drastically needing, right? There's rumors and reports that we're going after Jack Roslovic, which is a guy I ought to be interested in, but he's more of a winger than a center. So if you're trading Joshua, I'm going to be hoping that you're packaging him, with a cap, and then you're going to be trading someone else, who knows who it is, and trying to get a legitimate second-line center. If you're just trading him for the sake of opening cap space to bring in Jack Roslovic, I think it's okay. But personally, I would like to see them get a little bit more value for Joshua. I understand he had a bad season last year, but he had the greatest reason ever to have a bad season last year. The guy came off cancer, right? And he's recovering from that, and he recovered from it, which is amazing, right? and he was starting to pick it up at the end of the season, and he's a really likable guy too. Can't say a bad word about him. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs got a great deal here. So again, I'm not going to grade this an A or a B or a B+. I'm going to just throw it again in the C plus territory just because we don't know the follow-up. Actually, you could even say this is going to be ungradable until we see what the Vancouver Canucks do with the cap space from this trade. Because what happens if they don't do nothing? That's possible. Now, remember, everybody thought Coots or the first-round pick was going to get traded. That never got traded, right? We selected Coots with it, right? So, again, this is kind of like a to-be-determined situation. And you're kind of getting the averages here. The Canucks had an okay, decent offseason. Nothing amazing, 10 out of 10, but nothing really awful either. They've kind of gone with their business, C plus B range, and that's all right. But they're not done yet. They need a second-line center, and a lot of this offseason is going to depend on that specific thing. So that's how I would grade the Vancouver Canucks so far in this offseason. How is it going to change with the next move? Well, we'll find out. Thank you guys for watching. Drop a like. Subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.